back again at the Newcastle United Media Centre, our second home, Jordan.
Ah, it is. What was the stat? How many press conferences?
This is the 7th press conference with Eddie Howe in the last 11 days. So we do them before the games, we do them after the games. This is the 7th in the last 11, and we'll do the 8th tomorrow night at St James's Park, the 9th on Friday, and then the 10th in the space of just over 2 weeks at St James's Park after the Bournemouth game on Saturday, the early kickoff. So, yeah, Wolves tomorrow night at St James's Park. Eddie Howe's been speaking about that. Newcastle on a great run, 8 wins in a row in all competitions. Plenty of talk of, is it a record? Like, how close it is. We did say in our last video, when was the last time Newcastle went 9 in a row? Someone did say Kevin Keegan in the 92, early 90s era, which Newcastle did go 9 in a row then. The last time Newcastle actually did it was in 2016 under Rafa Benitez in the Championship. So, yes, the last time Newcastle won 9 in a row, the last 2 times, in fact, have both been outside of the top flight. So this will be a new one for Newcastle if they manage to go 9 in a row with a win against Wolves tomorrow night. But it is only 5 Premier League wins in a row. They'll be looking to make it 6.
Yeah, a lot of cup, three cup wins in there.
Yeah, which you won't say no to, because on the cusp of a Carabao Cup final through to the 4th round of the FA Cup. But yeah, Jordan, where would you like to start? Obviously, Eddie Howe was asked about Newcastle's run of form, how positive things are at the club at the moment. A little bit on transfers as well, a little bit on injuries, but where would you like to start?
Team selection, maybe. Injuries.
Yeah,
sort of injuries, not injuries. Well, actually, sorry, a big injury.
Do you want to start there?
Yeah.
Because that was my question. There was a big blow for Eddie Howe was no Matthew Raisbeck in the press conference.
Yes,
BBC
totally
Newcastle.
derailed the press conference.
Yes, Eddie Howe was willing to wait because Matthew Raisbeck was not here, and he usually scoops up all those injury questions. But I thought, no Razor today. I'll pick up that mantle. Harvey Barnes, how is he, Eddie Howe? And not great by the sounds of it.
Yeah, picked up it was a muscle inside of his thigh.
Yeah.
Strained that whilst putting in a cross at the back end of the first half. Had to come off at half time. Further assessment showed that he's going to be out. And Eddie Howe said, don't hold me to this, but a month.
Has he been reading the Shields Gazette Newcastle World?
Possibly.
Where if Eddie Howe says something, we will report it as a fact because he said it, because that's all you can report it at, even though he tends to not be completely accurate with his assessments of players' injuries. But we'll see. Around a month, don't hold me to that. But either way, Harvey Barnes will miss the Wolves game, having scored the winner at Molineux back in August.
Yeah, it's. I mean, in terms of the start 11, I think Newcastle are probably fortunate now, because I might be wrong here, but it feels like the schedule after this week slightly dies down a little bit. Of course, they've got that semi-final coming up in another midweeker, but the games die down, and naturally that allows players to rest more. And Harvey Barnes at this moment in time is out of the team and is a backup option to Anthony Gordon. So it's a blow in the sense that they won't have him to come off the bench. But in terms of that starting spot, then he wasn't in the team. It was Anthony Gordon there. So it is a blow, because he's a senior player. They paid a lot of money for him. You still feel like feel like he needs to start his Newcastle career. Had flashes, obviously with a goal, against Wolves early on the season. But a little setback for him, trying to get in the team, and then we'll be on the sidelines for a month. So I think it's I don't think it's a massive blow, but I think it's a blow for the player, and I think it is a shame that Newcastle won't have that option on the bench to call upon, and obviously rotation when the Birmingham game on the horizon, for example, in a month's time, which but based on what Eddie Howe was saying, I'll probably miss that game he would come into. So there's probably a couple of games there that he would have played that he'll now miss, which is a blow for him. But as long as Anthony Gordon is fit and firing, then Anthony Gordon is the man that is in the team.
Yeah, that's the only issue I'd have with the Harvey Barnes injury, is more the knock-on impact it has on the squad and the managing of minutes of players like Anthony Gordon, who is the the guaranteed starter pretty much at the moment on that left side. And then there's also on the right side, Jacob Murphy, Miguel Almiron, players like that. Do you want to ever change it up? Harvey Barnes is also an option there, albeit far less effective. But yeah, just we've seen Harvey Barnes come on in recent games, even during this run. Okay, he hasn't started any games bar the game at the weekend, but he's come on and saw games out and
it's an
helped Anthony Gordon manage his minutes, which is important during such a hectic run. So it's a blow in that respect and the potential knock-on impact. But in terms of actually impacting Newcastle's informed first team 11, I think you're right. It doesn't derail things too massively at the moment. But something that could derail things, as we've always said, Newcastle's fine run and good turnaround to the season is always at risk of falling apart based on the fitness of Alexander Isak. And Alexander Isak has not trained for the past week. Would be expected to return to training today. He may well have trained by the time you watch this video. But what did you think Eddie Howe was getting at when he was speaking about Alexander Isak today? Do you think he's back available against Wolves?
Yeah, I think Eddie Howe likes to leave these things open. If there's an opportunity for him to leave a player's fitness open and cast doubt, then I think he would always naturally use the opportunity because he want the opposition getting the advantage. He said on Isak that he hadn't trained yet, but he'll be there or thereabouts for me. I think he'll play. He was always going to be rested at the weekend against Bromley. Okay, you might have put him on the bench, but realistically, would you have had to? Probably not. So yeah, I think he's playing a little bit of a game, Eddie Howe, to try and get in the Wolves' mind and think, could their main man not play? But I mean, this could age really badly, but I think he'll be fine.
I think Eddie Howe plays fantasy football and just wants to one-up-on people. He's got Isak as captain in his team, and he goes, yeah. But Isak actually looking to break a Newcastle record. We're talking about records being broken, but Isak scored in the last 7 Premier League games for Newcastle. No players scored in 8 in a row. Alan Shearer had done it previously. Joe Willock had technically done it. He'd scored in 7 appearances in a row in the Premier League. Can Isak go and make it 8?
Can he make it 8? Yeah. I mean, he's
I'm asking you to get your crystal ball out here.
Everything he touches just turns to gold at the minute, unless he goes one-on-one.
That is the one area of Alexander Isak's game, which is probably like, we're talking about world-class striker. He is a world-class striker. He is one of the best in the world, in my opinion. I think that is one area of his game where you go, that maybe separates him from the creme de la creme.
He hasn't always been
strikers.
There was times last season when every time he went for an goal, you'd back him to score. But he's had a couple of one-on-ones in this run of 8.
He had one not long after he joined against Crystal Palace. I remember he went clean through. It would have been, he scored on his debut against Liverpool. It would have been his maybe 2nd or 3rd goal for the club.
Yeah.
And he tried to dink it, and he's done that a few times. It's just, we need that conviction from Alexander Isak.
Complain about a striker that scored 15 goals this season and could make it 8.
He's an incredible player, but yeah, we're just really nitpicking it.
The
one area of his game which would make him absolutely unstoppable if he gets that right, because he's got the pace to break away, he's got the movement to time his runs as well. And for a player of such quality, I'm not always confident when he's one-on-one. I don't think there's many players I'm that confident. Anthony Gordon has that in him. Jacob Murphy has that in him. You look at Newcastle's front 3. Any of them going one-on-one, I'm like, well, I don't know. Yeah. It's a flip of the coin, really.
Need to get the coaches working better on their training ground. That's what it is. With these one-on-ones.
I know.
What a negative view from us. Talking about the best striker in the world currently.
Yeah.
And I think probably is overall.
Needs to put them one-on-ones away, man.
But yeah, give me Harry Kane one-on-one any day of the week. Joking, right? We got silly. But I think he'll start tomorrow. I'll be surprised if he didn't.
Also, question marks though over other players rested at the weekend. Joe Willock, Sven Botman, Jacob Murphy. What we're thinking with them?
It's a tough one with Sven Botman and Fabian Schär now. I'm just thinking with that right-sided centre back, I think that's the biggest call that he has to make against Wolves. Yeah. I was going to say
get the team right this time.
I think that's the biggest call he's got to make, because Sven Botman's came on, and although he's a left footer, has came on that right hand side for the last 2 games and been pretty faultless. But the opening minute of his return when he let Dominic Solanke go for that goal. But him and Dan Burn were excellent against Tottenham and Arsenal. And then you've got Fabian Schär, who was suspended for the last 2 games, but realistically doesn't deserve to be out the team either. So
very rarely been dropped by Eddie Howe.
Yeah.
Most used player under Eddie Howe.
Dan Burn is at this moment undroppable. I wouldn't be moving Sven Botman to the left-hand side to drop Dan Burn, because Dan Burn has been fantastic, and as I say, is probably a contender for player of the season outside of Lewis Hall. I think it's them two for me. So I think Dan Burn stays there, and I think it's a toss-up between Sven Botman and Fabian Schär. And I would probably bring back Fabian Schär because he gives that balance with the right foot, left foot. I know keep going on about it. Sven Botman has been, I say, outstanding that right-sided centre-back role. But yeah, for some reason, I'm just inclined to think that he'll go with Schär tomorrow.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's really hard one. Either player starts. It's not a surprise.
It depends in what condition Sven Botman is in, because Eddie Howe did say fatigue was becoming an issue after 2 games in quick succession, and it was just almost a warning to Newcastle the way Sven Botman, was it his thigh, his groin, that he was struggling with against Arsenal. He got through the game, so he's got through 2 90 minutes in quick succession, then being rested for a week. Does he come back in? I'm not sure. After Fabian Schär got the nod, as you'd expect.
Yeah, I know it's
got the nod against Bromley. I'd maybe revert back to the Burn and Schär lineup. But I think in time, Newcastle obviously play again on Saturday, the early kickoff. It's another quick turnaround. Eddie Howe will be reluctant to change his defence too much in quick succession, so I'm not sure, but
it's one of them where I'm glad.
I think you're right. It's the toughest call.
It's one of them where I'm glad Eddie Howe's making the decision than anyone else.
But he'll know Sven Botman's fitness situation.
Exactly, yeah.
So I think that's what you'll be guided on ultimately. But I think if Sven Botman there's any doubt over his fitness, then start Fabian Schär. He's more than capable. Although question marks have been raised over his form this season. Will he sign a new deal as well? But that's a video and a question for another time, though we think probably leaning towards that new deal. But yeah, a big question today came out last night. Premier League, PSR rules, the sanctions, the punishments, the potential points deductions. Would find out that news today. On Newcastle getting a points deduction, Jordan?
Based on Eddie Howe, because I believe anything Eddie Howe says.
Oh, do you?
Yes, absolutely.
No, you don't. I think you have to say, no, you don't, because people will believe you.
No, I'm joking, because I'm just referring to a comment from a few weeks back saying I take what Eddie Howe says as literal, but I don't. Yeah. That was a joke. But on this occasion, I do believe that when he says Newcastle not in breach of PSR, I believe him.
Yes, I think it would be a risky game from Eddie Howe to go, we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
Yes, we are. Yeah. So yeah, Newcastle obviously sold Yankuba Minte Elliot Anderson for the best part of £70 million last June, to basically scramble around and comply with PSR. Eddie Howe said they were forced to sell those players, and yeah, by the sounds of it, seems like they got away with one in terms of a potential points deduction, which is what you want to hear.
Yeah, when you at the time when they're scrambling around as it did last minute and losing a player like Elliot Anderson in particular, because Eddie Howe made it clear he did not want to lose him, or meant that, to be fair. But when you're forced into doing business like that and deals that you don't want to do, you know it's quite serious. So I don't think they would have rushed around to sell those players and then later down the line still be in breach of PSR. Yeah. So I think
it would look really bad.
It would be an absolute bombshell shock if it came out of that Newcastle breach PSR, but it sounds like with reports doing the rounds now as we speak, then actually no club has breached PSR. So
which is what you would like to hear.
Yeah.
Nottingham Forest breaching PSR again would do Newcastle a favour. Imagine
we're seeing that,
that Elliot Anderson deal sees Forest breach PSR. That would be incredible. But
we got Odysseys back at them less often, so
we've helped them.
Well, Newcastle have helped.
You scratch your back, we'll scratch yours. So that's good to see. No clubs, if those reports are indeed true, no clubs in breach of PSR in the Premier League as the lights go off. I hope this light doesn't go off.
That's a blow.
Could be in trouble if not. But yeah, we'll move on. In terms of transfer updates, you obviously asked a transfer-related question. We've had a bit of news on the transfer front this past week, I suppose. Eddie Howe was asked about Martin Dubravka again. Do you want to retread that ground? There's not really much to add.
Still discussion still ongoing. It's not in Eddie Howe's control, or he's not at the centre of these talks or anything like that. So again, I think we've been over it a lot on these videos. I think it's quite apparent that he's probably going to stay. Whether they make an announcement about that, whether it's a new contract or a pay rise, whatever, we'll wait and see. But yeah, I think that there was nothing to update really on Martin Dubravka. He's asked about Miguel Aaron as well, because there was a story from the Telegraph saying that he was edging closer to leaving with clubs in the MLS, Brazil, Europe, looking at Almiron. Newcastle reportedly won £12 million for him. No club wants to pay that. Talks ongoing, whatever. But Eddie Howe,
whatever.
But Eddie Howe,
be done with it.
From his response, said he was still here.
Yeah. Newcastle's reluctance or general aversion to sound players this month, or lack of desperation to sell players, probably also links to the PSR thing, and they are in a much stronger PSR situation this heading into 25-26 than they were at the start of heading into the start of the last season. So a positive to come from a situation where you're like, well, why are you not selling Miguel Almiron, for example? But your transfer question, Newcastle's only transfer of 2025 so far, clutching at straws a little bit, but it's a story that was an exclusive on Newcastle World in terms of who Newcastle actually beat this deal. And this is a player who was here or in and around the training ground at the weekend and met Eddie Howe, met Paul Mitchell, did a club interview as well, spoke about potentially, joining the club in the summer. So, Jordan, take it away. Vakhtang Salia.
You mentioned his club interview there. I found that club interview quite funny, actually, because I was just thinking from the club media's point of view, Luke Vinton, who done the interview, and it was asking questions. It was almost like one-word answers, or like 3 or 4 word answers.
17-year-old Georgian speaking English was spot on.
But it was I just thought it was me being in that position and asking the questions, and it's like before you've actually read the question, he's answered it. But anyway, it was I found that quite amusing. But he was a confident lad, to be fair. He was a really confident lad. So he just play me, he wants to show what he can do. Really good first interview, bar the fact that it was just...
What are your strengths? I don't care.
Yeah.
That was a good answer.
Yeah. So anyway, came out in a club interview. So he was on Tyneside over the weekend, was at the training ground, met Paul Mitchell, met Eddie Howe, was at the game on Sunday against Bromley, so he's been given the tour before he arrives on his 18th birthday in August. And yeah, it's in many ways it's sort of a big coup for Newcastle, because there was a lot of teams interested in him, a lot of big European teams interested in him, and it was a story on Newcastle World a few months back now when the deal was announced for Salia, that Arsenal were the team that actually thought they had him. Arsenal were said to be really disappointed missing out on not getting Salia. So when you beat a team like, when you beat a team like Arsenal, there were young players' signature and many others as well, and it's usually a good sign. But a lot of noises coming out of Georgios, saying that he's the next big thing. The Napoli, soon to be PSG forward.
Are you going to go there?
No way.
Kvaratskhelia.
That's that. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, that's a good. Is how you say it. It's a good effort. Everyone knows you're
that's how I say it.
Basically, the Georgian lad has got a really
good
long
lad.
name. You've had a really good crack at trying to pronounce it.
I remember him from the Euros. He had a good Euros.
Yeah. So when he's getting compared to players like him, I think it was the same club that they came from. I think the Georgian season again.
I don't. If I'm getting it wrong, I don't want to say it for the third time.
People know you're talking.
Yes. Yeah.
They were Dynamo how do you pronounce?
Tbilisi.
Yeah. See, this is why you're here, right? Because people know
You'll be glad he's called Salia, because that's like a
I
simple name to pronounce. His first name maybe not so much, but
yeah,
you got there.
yeah. But there's a lot of there was a lot of clubs interested in him. There's a lot of noises saying that he's real excitement around his future in Newcastle, the club that will be able to hopefully develop him into a top player. But yeah, a nice little tour for him, get to see his new surroundings. It might be a while before he's actually here permanently, because I think possibly they might look to loan him out.
Well, he was meeting with Shola Amiobi, which I think was telling as well.
Yeah, the loan manager, coordinator. Yeah, but so it was good to see him. They obviously made a big song and dance about it. I think the club, which shows that they're excited about who they've recruited. Just hopefully he'll develop into the player that many people in Georgia think he might develop into.
The pull of Tamuri Ketsbaya was key.
Yeah, he
actually got it.
Yeah, he did. He's two Georgians, and I knew Ketsbaya's there, and I had to Google the other, but it was Kisnishvili.
Yeah,
pronounce that
championship.
That's
a good pronunciation.
Yeah, I know.
7 appearances in the championship.
I remember his debut against Ipswich when they won 4-0. I liked Kisnishvili. I think there was actually talk of trying to sign him permanently, but it never happened. Never mind. They got Mike Williamson instead.
Yeah, that's good. So yeah, that's a transfer to look forward to. Maybe not in the summer as such, but maybe a couple of years down the line. But in a PSR world, these are the transfers that need to happen. You look back at Yankuba Minte, basically saved Newcastle last summer in terms of a potential points deduction. Salia, whether he makes a impact on the first team or not, his potential, it's a low risk deal for Newcastle with potentially really high rewards.
It's both ends of scale, isn't it, where you can either go on to become a first team at Newcastle, or maybe another Yankuba Minte, but potentially to a lesser extent. So, Paul Mitchell made that pretty clear in the summer, didn't he, where he's trying to unearth these top talents abroad, and Salia certainly falls into that bracket. So, yeah, you're right, it's a low risk deal. If he succeeds, he succeeds. If he doesn't, it doesn't really matter. But hopefully he does. As I say, there's a lot of excitement around him. Arsenal thought that didn't. So Newcastle lapped it up.
Yeah, and the big transfer story of the week, I say without an inch of irony, Jamie Miley. Recalled from his loan spell at Newport County. He's another player who was at St James's Park on Sunday watching his brother lash one into the top corner of the Gallagher stand, or the net in the Gallagher stand. Jamie Miley on loan at Newport County, injury hit loan spell. He only made 3 starts, but now Newcastle have triggered the break clause in his loan deal and will now make a decision on his future. Imagine that means another move for him this month, because in terms of getting involved in the first team, look, he came in at times in pre-season and did a job. I thought he played well, particularly in one of the games at St James's Park. The Girona game, really Newcastle won 4-0.
Yeah.
Played well in that game and then was loaned out to Newport. Big things expected of him, but he had a hernia injury and then he had another injury, so it has had a difficult spell there at the League Two club. But now Newcastle, whether it be another loan or potentially a permanent signing, there's been quite a lot of talk around that for him. Is his contract? He hasn't got an awful amount of time left on his contract either, so that's a decision Newcastle will make this month, having recalled him, and I think it's telling that they have recalled him, because he wasn't really getting the games at Newport, and now he will be looking to restart his career elsewhere.
Yeah, I don't know where you pitch him, because it was really disappointing loans, but I know that was, as you mentioned there, injury sort of enforced, but
he's 21 now as well.
Yeah, well that's like
21 today. Happy birthday, Jamie Miley.
Happy birthday, Jamie. I'm going to say it.
Now we're going to...
Yeah. I just think, it's probably unlikely that Jamie Miley will make a career at Newcastle United. If his brother Lewis, who has been spoke about as a really high ceiling, and is again a player that's been praised heavily, and there's big expectation or big feeling around Lewis Miley and what he can do in the game. Jamie Miley hasn't really hasn't got anywhere near those sort of levels or talk around him, which suggests when you've got a midfield of Sandro Tonali, Bruno, etc., it'd be really hard for a player like him now at the age of 21 to to just immediately just walk in Newcastle's team or
Yeah.
make a career. And then, well, that happens. There's players that, because you sign top talents and you pay millions of pounds for top talents and like midfielders, and there's sometimes the academy prospects don't make it, and it all links back to PSR, isn't it? Where, well, actually, if you can't make it here, then can you go and sell them for a couple of million lower down the pyramid, and you can go and have a very, very good career lower down the pyramid, and then maybe try and work your way back up. Well, I think that's probably where we're at with Jamie Miley. Maybe another loan, but if there's a permanent deal for him this month, then it probably benefits him, doesn't it? I think at the age that he is now, he probably does want to try and kickstart his senior career, because even the Newport one was his first loan.
Yeah, that was his first taste of senior professional competitive football, as he acknowledged as well. I spoke to him in Japan, and he was very keen to go out on loan and get that senior football experience, having got a taste of it with the first team in pre-season. So yeah, got glimpses of it, but like I say,
he's a really tidy technical footballer.
I have no doubt he'll have a good career in the
football
AFL. Yeah, but he has to.
You have to be special. You have to be special.
You can't be 21 and having 3 senior career starts under your belt and expecting like some sort of transformative move. He just has to get down, head down, playing games and showing how good he is, because he is a capable player, as we've seen for the under-21s back there, and also in glimpses for the first team in pre-season. So yeah, that's one. And then also goes back to PSR academy graduates. I can't imagine any money Newcastle would get, if they were to get any money, would be significant, but every little helps.
Just went on like sort of the wider picture, because I mean the best at selling academy graduates is probably Man City and Chelsea. If you go down the Premier League, you look at a player and go, oh, he's doing really well. Where did he start his career? Chelsea. And that's when Newcastle need to get really, if they want to be very, very good at the PSR game, it starts from the academy. And signing players for the academy doesn't necessarily sign players into your first team. It's being able to sign players that for a nominal fee, and then you can go and sell them for a couple of million to a Championship League 1 or League 2 club.
Well, yeah, Newcastle have been almost, I wouldn't say single-handedly helping Chelsea, but 28 million for Lewis Hall.
Exactly.
They had a significant sell-on for Tino Livramento, who moved from Southampton for not a small amount of money to Newcastle. And then also Newcastle's big transfer target in the summer, Mark Gay, also had a sell-on. So Newcastle really helping Chelsea comply with PSR. But there's many other reasons they comply with PSR as well.
Yeah,
which we won't go. I was going to say which we won't go into, but yeah, Newcastle look to have dodged it, but it moves us a little bit nicely on. I know time is running on, but Lewis Miley, really impressive at the weekend. First start since last February. And Eddie Howe was asked about, again, you're looking at academy talent like Elliot Anderson. Does Lewis Miley almost come into sharper focus as a player who is almost like a PSR get out of jail card, and almost what is his best position in the side? So what did you think about what Eddie Howe said, but then also what do you think the future holds for Lewis Miley at Newcastle?
Yeah, on Lewis Miley and PSR, I think it's one of them where in 2 years' time, if Lewis Miley is not in the team and he's sort of in maybe look, selling Elliot Anderson wasn't right, but I think we're in a position with Elliot Anderson where it never felt like he was really going to reach.
He wasn't a guaranteed start, and I think that move to Nottingham Forest has worked out the best for him. Because
I think the example on Sunday against Bromley is that would be a game Elliot Anderson has started in, whereas throughout this run when Newcastle won 8 in a row, I might be wrong, but I don't think Elliot Anderson would have been as prominent in the team as he has been in Nottingham Forest. Yeah. And I think it worked out really well for the player's career. Elliot Anderson was not being spoken about as an potential England international. At Newcastle, albeit there was talk around his future in Scotland or England allegiances and whatever. Yeah. But Elliot Anderson at Nottingham Forest has literally gone to a player that people think may get in the next England squad under Thomas Tuchel. So, and he would never achieve that here. But going back to Lewis Miley, I think you can see he's a really, really talented footballer, and I think he's got a big future. But it's one of them where if he's not in the team in, say, 2 years' time, do you look to sell him? But I don't think we should be thinking about that now, because it's still only just turned 18, really. Just learning off some very, very good players. I think his development's still got a long way to go before you start making decisions like that. But in terms of his best position, it's a hard one, because I think
Eddie Howe wouldn't put a he didn't feel it was right to put a firm label on Lewis Miley's best position.
I think he's. Well, he played in the 6th row. I think he proved he can do a very good job there.
Recency bias would suggest the 6th role is his best position. I thought he played well there. Bar that the opening goal Bromley scored, played very well there on Sunday. He also started in the 6 at Nottingham Forest last season, played very well, and that's one of his most recent Premier League starts. I think only Arsenal away, where they got beat, was his most recent start after that. So, yeah, he played very well that game. Again, we saw the unlocking of Bruno in the 8. So, I think, as it was put to Eddie Howe, Lewis Miley is almost that Sandro Tonali alternative, the Sandro Tonali understudy, if you like, who, if Sandro Tonali isn't playing in the 6 and you want Bruno in the 8, then Lewis Miley is the ideal person to come in.
It's one of them in the midfield where when your team's doing so well, you don't really want to change players around. So realistically, if Sandro Tonali was to pick up an injury tomorrow, hope he doesn't, obviously, touch wood, but then ideally you would keep Bruno and Joe Linton where they are because they're performing so well, and you would just be a straight shot for Lewis Miley, because I'm not sure they had that other sort of natural number 6 other than Bruno. But Bruno is doing so well in the number 8 role, so then why would you want to drop him back in?
Yeah.
So for me, Miley is that perfect option. Just if Tonali was to pick up an injury, right, then you go.
Yeah. Just needs to improve. Like, he has improved his physical side of his game,
but he's still got. I think you could tell against Bromley there was a couple of times and he was shirked off the ball quite easy. I think it's quite clear that he needs to develop physically still. But as came from where he was last year, he was a twig last year. He's clearly bulked up. Yeah. You can see that. We stood in front of him a few weeks ago now, behind us here after he played against Chelsea in the 21s, and you could see he'd bulked up. So he's still only young, but you can see there's a really really high ceiling on him. I just hope he can go on to fulfill it here, because he's got just a tough one as well. He's got some real big competition to get in the midfield. It's a real tough one, because I would actually be tempted to loan him out, but then you're only one injury away from actually needing him. But as long as that midfield, which I spoke about there, is fit, then Lewis Miley is. It's a hard. Most midfielders in the Premier League would struggle to get Newcastle's midfield free. Yeah. Never mind Lewis Miley.
Yeah, and loan spells can sometimes derail momentum for players as well.
Yeah. So, it's not always the right thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think he does need to get to a point where he is starting regular games, but can he continue his development at Newcastle? I think for the time being, I'd keep him around. Wait and see. But a player, again, we spoke about, we'll briefly touch on this, a player who will be available to leave the club on loan this month, Alex Murphy, who we've seen impressed for the 21s. He was on the bench, an unused substitute against Bromley. People saying maybe he should have started the game. Didn't get on the pitch. He's played 2 Premier League games for Newcastle last season as a substitute. And did he give a penalty away against
Sheffield United? Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Or did it get overturned?
Yes, it did. Yeah, so, you're right. Yeah.
Poor lad, but saved by VAR.
Saved by VAR. Yeah.
So yeah, he's a player who we've spoken about previously about will go out on loan. He wants to go out on loan.
Yeah, he's programme notes at the weekend.
He wants to get regular game time. So what level do you see him at? Because we've discussed it previously. Like, is he Championship, League 1, League 2?
I think you pitch him wherever you can get him. It's like
get him games. Yeah.
I mean,
that's all he needs at the moment.
Yeah,
he's 20 years old, needs games.
I think he's probably capable of going to the Championship based on the very few clubs.
I'm not sure he necessarily gets games in the Championship. Or if he does get games, it'll be difficult games where it's a club or in a desperate situation.
Yeah, you just pitch him where you can get games, and if that's League 1, it's League 1. Elliot Anderson went to League 2.
Yeah,
and then came back and played Premier League games.
Nearly Premier League ready. Yeah.
So anywhere they can get him games, I think it's clear. Again, we mentioned it when we watched him here against Chelsea on the 21s. Again, going back to that game, he was a player that obviously needed a loan spell. Looked a seasoned pro at under 21s level.
It sounds quite brutal. He's almost wasted for the 21s if he's just playing as a 20-year-old and still, like, bearing in mind he came almost with senior football experience from Galway United. So I think maybe even SPL. is possibly one for him.
Although Newcastle and Scottish loans haven't ever worked out really, because
Craig Bellamy had a good loan spell at Celtic.
Going back, recent loans I've had, they've sent some of
Paul
the young
Dummett.
players up there. Yeah, no, yeah, we're going back a while there though.
Yeah. Getting the history books out. Well, we're getting the history books out today. With when was the last time Newcastle won 9 in a row and things like that. So yeah, we'll close that book now and open the book. Weird analogy, but on our sponsors.
It worked.
So yeah, every Geordie Journals video, of course, is sponsored. You should know by now. Say it with me. Mitigate.
Mitigate enhances workplace mental health, helping businesses stay compliant, reduce absences, and unlock higher productivity, creating healthier, happier teams.
And of course, Four Rivers Financial Planning.
Four Rivers Financial Planning offers holistic financial advice for all stages of life, ensuring your plan remains robust and adaptable in the ever-changing world that we live in.
It's Four Rivers Financial Planning. Future-proof yourself. Links in the description to Mitigate. Four Rivers Financial Planning. The Geordie Journals shop if you fancy any T-shirts that we're shamefully not wearing to Eddie Howe's press conference.
I've got a Geordie Journals hoodie.
I think you should wear it on Friday to Eddie Howe's press conference.
I could. I don't know.
I think you need to walk up to Eddie Howe and go, "Do you like my hoodie?"
get the brand on
the live stream. You turn around and you go,
"I could." Yeah, that's one way of doing it, isn't it?
That's cheeky.
Yeah,
that's cheeky.
No,
If sitting in his seat isn't cheeky enough, then doing that definitely is. But yeah, we'll be back at St James's Park with the long-awaited return of Liam Kennedy.
Yeah, there's been a couple of people asking about him in the comments.
Yes, he said he's missed you all and he can't wait to be back. So we'll have Liam Kennedy back on the live. That's a big boost, really, because people love the lives. We are not in a position to do that because we are speaking to Eddie Howe and very much head down in work at the full-time whistle. Liam is the man for live. So those will be back tomorrow at St James's Park, and then we'll have Liam on the analysis of the Wolves game. I nearly said win. We'll get that winning feeling, but we'll wait and see. So yeah, if you like what we do, please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll see you at St James's Park against Wolves tomorrow evening. Cheers.